colleagues, the Permanent Secretary, heads of agencies, our dear clerk, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the members of the 9th Senate Committee on Aviation, I wish to use this golden opportunity to welcome all our invited guests to the last meeting of this committee with the Permanent Secretary and the heads of agencies under the committee's supervision. We would like to appreciate the seemingly cordial relationship the committee has had with all of you during our transient and brief stint. My transient and brief stint as chairman of this committee. We must point out that the Permanent Secretary and the heads of agencies, outgoing and incoming in this sector, have demonstrated a rare courage of commitment and dedication to the development of the aviation sector anytime their attention are needed by the committee. On this note, I wish to thank them for their cooperation and to say we were proud of working with them. However, in deference to the outgone Honorable Minister, Senator Hadi Sirika, himself a two-term former member of the National Assembly, who had chosen to treat us on this side of the divide with utmost disdain in the discharge of our duties, we want to state the obvious, that the committee was not carried along in virtually every ramification, despite the degree of respect the members accorded to the ministry anytime they were invited for meetings. We were so badly treated with official information that will help us to do our official assignment. A few of the grouses, which are not personal, that we have against the ministry are thus: the Nigeria Air Project. The issue was shrouded in secrecy to the extent that it was fraudulently displayed as a new national carrier, contrary to the extant court order and international rules that strictly guided airline operations. This indeed was an embarrassment to the committee. Next is the inability to broker peace between the federal government and the Aviation Workers Union, which led to intermittent warning strikes by the unions and the ultimate disruption of economic activities in the industry, despite the intervention of the aviation committees of the National Assembly. The other issue that the committee was displeased with is the continuous threats of outright demolition of some of the aviation agencies' headquarters in Lagos without making reasonable provisions for befitting regional offices in Lagos, being the aviation hub. The current issue on airlines trapped/blocked funds in Nigeria to the tune of $800 million, which has resulted in expensive airfares in Nigeria because airlines sell tickets cheap to neighboring countries like Ghana, Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, etc., where Nigerian passengers are compelled to go for cheaper air tickets to connect their flights. The issue of the sensational procurement of firefighting equipment, which was not to the knowledge of the committee. The non-transparent manner in which the Nigeria Air Project was awarded to Ethiopian Airlines at the detriment of Airlines Operators of Nigeria, AON, which has given way to surrendering our sovereign wealth to foreigners as claimed by the airline operators in Nigeria in one of their petitions to the committee. And of course, the horrid appointment of board members of the agencies at the tail end of the past administration. The list is endless. The meeting of today is convened so that the committee can listen to our invited guests, as we want the right things to be done, and we want the 10th National Assembly to take over from wherever we stop, and for us to at least establish a template to address issues that are at stake. We will be able to also speak at the end of the day, but let me thank you for coming and thank my colleagues for their unalloyed cooperation. Thank you very much.
We are happy that you said we've had very good working relationship. But I must say that we couldn't have had that without the Honorable Minister. So it's by extension, we've actually had very good working relationship with the Minister. So if there are any issues to solve, maybe after clarification, the issues will be laid to rest. Let me start by saying that the issues that you have mentioned, Nigerian air projects, the issue of the unions, threat of demolition, the issue of trap funds, and the procurement of firefighting equipment, these are things that can be clarified. But before the technical people can throw more light on this, but permit me to say a few words. I came into the aviation ministry sometime in September last year, and the first meeting we had with you people was on Nigerian air project. I do remember that the minister took time to explain most of the misinformation about the Nigerian air project. And at the end of the meeting, we were all happy and we left here satisfied. But let me also say that Nigerian air project is a project believed by all Nigerians. It's part of the aviation roadmap that was approved by Mr. President in 2016. Despite the delays, it took off in 2021 following due process. I still recall that it's a PPP arrangement where the ICRC, Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, played a very big role. And there was an RFP, request for proposal. There was also an evaluation, and at the end of the day, there was a preferred bidder. It was after the preferred bidder that you started hearing issues of we are not being carried along, which the minister clearly explained. But I'll call on the experts to throw more light on that. But I also want to say that it's not a fluke, it's real. The Nigeria Air Project is real. And we are doing that because most Nigerians know 85% of the flights are delayed. As at 2022, more than 85% are delayed. The second thing we also know is that these flights are delayed because of low capacity. Most of the aircrafts we have, most of the airlines we have in Nigeria don't have the requisite capacity to deliver quality service. So we must have a national carrier that should be able to do that. Again, having a national carrier will also help us even in the issue of trapped funds, because we are looking at domestic, regional, and international flights. And why we are having so much trapped funds is because people come here, give us service, they can't repatriate their dollars or their funds, but we are not reciprocating. So there is imbalance of trade. And the only way we can do that is if we have this national carrier. Again, the process of national carrier is defined in our laws. We couldn't have gone ahead without following the laws. And that's why it took time from 2021 when the process started, and we are still on it before the court process said we should stop negotiations until the vacation of the court case, and which we are obeying. However, the interim MD of the Nigerian Air is here. He will throw more light on that. Again, the issue of the unions. When I took over as Permanent Secretary of Aviation, I did call the unions to a meeting, and we discussed. They shouldn't have gone on that strike. It was improper, and they shouldn't. What were their issues? Demolition. Yes, there were certain buildings that were meant to be demolished. That's an executive decision, and we agreed. If these buildings are not okay, they have to go. And in going, the work of every employer is to provide an alternative accommodation for the workers. And we had agreed that that has to be done before the demolition can take place. So going to suffer Nigerians because of something pertaining to the workplace was uncalled for. They talked about consequential adjustment. I did promise them that government was working on it. And they went on strike. The next week, the consequential adjustment was done. So they were suffering the people for nothing. What they told me is that they believe by making noise, that's the only way government can listen to them. And I keep on telling them that that is wrong. You don't do unionism like that. You do social dialogue, you engage before you can even go to disrupt services. So in terms of the union, we've been talking with them and we say what they did was not right. And I still stand by that up till now. Now, with the issue of airline trap funds is the economy. If we are not generating, it's actually very hard. With the national carrier, if it comes to be, it's going to balance the trade, and we won't be having this. But again, we are doing our work because we can only write to central bank, let them see how they can make amends and be able to pay this. And let me also put it on notice that before this current administration, before the last administration came into being, there were issues of trapped funds, which they paid in the first few months of the administration. And they put something in place to ensure that this does not accumulate. But the economy caused problems. We had COVID, and every economy is trying to come up after the COVID. Again, the fire trucks. I'm surprised we are saying that the fire trucks was done without anybody knowing. All contracts all contracts go through a particular process. There must be BPP, Bureau for Public Procurement, no objection. It went to Federal Executive Council, it was approved, and the process of executing the contract was taken into consideration. Again, it was actually a contract that deals with an offshore service, where you need to open a letter of credit, and the contract is made up of 3 components. One is the fire truck itself, the other one is training on the use of those fire trucks, and the third one is the spare parts. And these things were followed accordingly. And if you look at the contract agreement, there were things that were supposed to be done. So it's not as if people didn't know about it. What people were complaining of, they said the price was too much. But then these are people who don't know about the details of the contract. It's a customized fire and rescue truck, not only fire truck. And that was what we saw. But as we go ahead, people will be able to provide more clarification on that. As regards board appointments, as a civil servant, what I have to say is the board appointments were approved by Mr. President. And for us, that's a directive, and we have to do that accordingly. Thank you, ma'am.
That a lot of controversies have been generated about the Nigerian air issue. Our concern is that up to yesterday, some of us are keen enough to listen to radios. We hear what Nigerians say, and the cumulative effect of what is being said is to say that the entire process of the Nigerian air cannot be said to have been rightly done. This is the position. We know. And this is the last part of our assignment. We cannot just afford to be walking on the street while people continue to accuse us of even being complicit about what is happening in the aviation industry. Even this morning, as I woke up, I saw a write-up about Air Nigeria. And the question is, do we really need these controversies? We don't need. Do we really need Nigerian Air? Yes, we do. If the allegation that the whole process has been transparent enough, Nigeria being what it is, we will still have gone into some sort of controversy, but it may not be as, permit me to use the word, as huge as it appears to be. In my little knowledge about, I'm so sorry about some of the observations of our conduct as Nigerian citizens. I have always referred to the case of Onaguro versus the state, and of course the observation of late Justice Nikitobi, where he said the Nigerian polity, more than anyone known to me, is one of suspicion and suspect. It is one society where the slightest aberrant conduct of an individual, no matter how malified, is read with so much suspicion. He says suspicion is the hobby of an average Nigerian. He does not only vegetate on it, he enjoys it. more especially where the end result is to damage the character of another person. Those of you on that side in the industry and those of us here have been sufficiently bashed about this matter. And we believe that if some caution, some care had been taken by you on that side and taking us along, some of the explanations that you will be doing, we will have been doing that on your behalf. Yeah. I don't know. I know Captain Olumide. I know his character. I know him very well. In this industry, there is no how anybody can say that this gentleman will get involved in what is fraudulent. Not because he is here. But we all cannot claim not to know that there have been huge concerns about the process and the end result. And the issue is, why will you, for whatever reason, having an interim MD be in a hurry to unveil a national carrier on the last day of your administration? Why? The credit will still be, everybody knows that Rome wasn't built in a day, and there is no how you can put an airline, you know, in a day. Why the hurry? What is the issue? This morning, I was with chairman when one of our colleagues came here and said that we said we have manufactured aircraft. Was that not what is in the room? So we too don't feel comfortable. And that's why we said, okay, fine. If there is any explanation, for God's sake, that can take us out of this controversy, Nigerians deserve to know. And rightly so. And that dictates the essence of this meeting. We are all civilized enough to understand that it is biblical. That even though God knew that Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, he didn't condemn them. He started by saying, wherefore did you do so? So that's why we are saying, tell us, do we really need this controversy? What generated it? What can we do, you know, to go out? Because we want to be on course. I will be the happiest person if by Monday I will be on board Nigerian Air to London or to Senegal or somewhere or to US. You know, anywhere. I will proudly come down and say that this is my airline, my country's airline. Sorry. So, Captain, ask for startup.
No, let's get. Okay. Do you have questions before he, so that we don't keep asking questions?
No, when it's at the airport, where is it now?
They are in the airport now.
No, don't worry. All these answers will flow.
Model that you intend to have, and also of this share capital that you people keep talking about, how much of it is authorized, the share capital that you have got, you know, amongst yourselves, and how much of it has been called off, and who has paid? Then what are the services required from the partners and the cost of the aircraft? All these have to be spelled out.
We can go in peace.
Senate Committee on Aviation. It's a pleasure to be here and to finally be in a position where I can clarify all the misconceptions regarding Nigeria Air as it pertains to the technical aspects of it. As you know, this airline was launched, so to speak, in Farnborough, the logo in 2018. Several things have transpired since then, but that has nothing to do with me. I was invited last February to, my mandate is to secure an air operating certificate for the airline. Not necessarily to operate the airline, but to secure a license to fly. And that is entirely my responsibility. But I would like to address your question first before I move on. The aircraft that came in and left was a legitimate charter flight. Any one of us here, if we have a destination wedding in Senegal, we can charter an aircraft. You don't need to have a license to do that. You just charter an aircraft. And the aircraft, you pay for it, it'll be brought here, take your passengers, and off you go. And that is what we did. But in this case, it was to unveil, you see, ever since 2018, all you'd ever seen about Nigeria Air aircraft were pictures, drawings, not the real aircraft. And we felt it was time to show what the real aircraft would look like, and also to let shareholders, you see, we have institutional investors. they're not in aviation, but they're putting their money in here for, say, 10, 15 years and to exit maybe at a premium. So they need to see what the actual aircraft will look like. So we brought it in here to show them what the aircraft will look like. Then the social media dimension came into it, and I'll address them point by point. One, it's Ethiopian registered. Why is it Ethiopian registered? Well, for a start, to operate aircraft in Nigeria, they must be Nigerian registered. 5 November, we call it. Okay? That aircraft was not 5 November registered because it was a charter flight. And it came in with just a few days clearance and off it went. For us to get this license, which is my mandate, I don't want to use technical terms, we must, amongst other things, have 3 aircraft before this NCA will give us a license. And those 3 aircraft must be Nigerian registered aircraft. There are 5 phases, 5 steps that one goes through to get this license. 5. We've gone from the first one to the second one. But the problem is that when you change what we call post holders, you're a post holder, for example. All of you are post holders on the committee. Post holders in aviation is a technical term for director of maintenance, chief pilot, all those type of things. When you change them and replace them completely, you have to go back to phase 1 to interview them. They have to be interviewed to be compliant and acceptable to the authorities, to the Civil Aviation Authority. But having gone back to phase 1 doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. That is the correct and normal process. So when this aircraft came in on a charter flight, everybody said, we have launched Nigeria Air. And I thought this was very interesting because there are learned people in the aviation industry who could have countered that when social media came out, but they chose not to. But that's fine, I'm here to explain. It was just a charter flight, and then there were other stories that the passengers on the aircraft going back to Ethiopia were paid passengers. We sold tickets to them. For your information, those passengers were staff of Ethiopian Airlines that we brought here just to show them, because the aircraft is their aircraft. It's registered in their aircraft's name. It's their aircraft. So we brought them here, and at the end of the unveiling, they went back with their aircraft. Nobody sold any tickets to anybody. Then there was the issue of launching the airline. You see, they brought the aircraft. There's no ticket counter in Lagos. There's no ticket counter in Enugu, and so on. Yeah, of course now. We haven't got a license yet to operate. If you had asked me the question, I could, not you, I mean if the social media had asked me the question, I would have said, we haven't got to that stage yet. We're doing the proper process of one after the other to get to this point where we get the license. We've done the first part, which is to get an air transport license. Again, on social media, some people have been pushing the air transport license, which is one of 2 licenses, and saying, see, NCA gave them license to fly. They didn't do anything. They got a license. That is an air transport license, which doesn't permit you to carry operations on commercial services. So it's nothing to do with it. It's just one of several licenses. Like if you want to do your driving test, you have to do a written exam first, then you do the driving exam. So we did the written exam and got a certificate. Now we're going to do the driving test. They say, they gave them license. Let us do the driving test first now. So that issue of the aircraft was totally misconstrued by everybody who was just trying to be mischievous. We are not at the point of operating the airline yet, at all. Model, sir. You asked the question about the business plan and the shareholding. Well, again, I am not the right person to address that because that is part of the ICRC BPP process. So I am not there to design a business case. What I do is I meet a business case and I use that to get the license, the correct type of license we need to operate. So everything that has been done to get this airline going on a technical front has been done entirely above board and with the cognizance of the Civil Aviation Authority and all agencies combined, by the way. They said, social media said, they've given them international airport in Lagos to use as a private terminal. How? How are we going to use an international terminal? Because it's designated international. It's not designated for domestic operations. Then they said, okay, they've given them the general aviation. General aviation is the other smaller places. Okay, they've given them that one. How? Do you know how much space there is there? So why would they give it to us? Where would the others go? Then they said, okay, they've given them MM2. MM2 is a private terminal. You want us to throw everybody out because we're a national airline? No. We are in the same boat as everybody else. You see, the reason, and I've been in this business for 40 years, without the character of a national airline, you lose a lot. National pride, 1. Employment, number 2. The ability of a national airline to influence Assembly, Senate, and say, look, we need infrastructure. We need to build a new terminal. We need to do this, we need to do that. That's where you come in. But you won't necessarily listen to private airlines. But when the national airline comes, you will listen to us because we're trying to make a point to develop the country. We need to create a hub. You cannot succeed having an international terminal here and a local terminal there because it doesn't connect the passengers' luggage and so on and so forth. You've all flown abroad. You just walk out of the aircraft into the next gate for your domestic flight in the same building. We have to get to that stage. And a national airline will then create the best thing of all, which is competition. Competition is the only way we're going to move our sector forward. Because when you have a player who is above, at a level that is aspirational, guess what happens to everybody else? They live up to it because they want to get a part of that market as well. And therefore, the whole industry moves forward, not just the national airline. Because everybody else wants, just like we have one particular airline now, I don't want to mention the name, everybody says I'm flying with them because they're reliable and so on. So the point is, we're desperate for tiny things. Reliability. You've never heard anybody say catering, meals, or you have to wear a suit to go on the flight. All they've said is it goes on time and it's safe. Then it's got the market. But when you have a national airline that gives you in-flight entertainment, you can do Wi-Fi, you can do things in the aircraft that you can't ordinarily do. The other airlines will then improve the quality of their aircraft, bring in better aircraft, and who benefits? The passenger. So all this stigmatization of the airline is undue. I hear what the chairman is saying, and a lot of what you said is I'm hearing for the first time. But that's because I'm in a little hole just doing the licensing for the aircraft, for the airline, and working with the Civil Aviation Authority. But it's something for us to be proud of. And like the Vice Chairman said, that Nigeria Air will happen. Well, even if you didn't say it, I'm saying it. Nigeria Air will happen because the people of Nigeria need it. I'll give you another example. When you go to, let's just use Heathrow as an example, or let's say Dubai, and you get out of the aircraft, and you're walking to your connecting flight, on your Emirates flight, and you walk past the window and you see a Nigeria Air aircraft. You're not on Nigeria, you didn't buy a ticket. But the first thing that's going to hit you is pride. Nothing else. Pride. My people are here. And that's what we've got to get our people to. This is what we've got to get the airline to that stage of national pride. And it's, again, only a national airline can do it. So I think with that, I will hand over to the people who are better placed. Again, there's a million questions you can ask me about Nigeria Air, and I will answer them. I can't put them all forward now because I don't know the questions you have. But in terms of these specific questions of business model, share capital, I have to hand over to the more competent people to address that. Thank you, Jim.
Before you go,
yes,
where are we now on the issue of Air Nigeria?
Phase 1.
Where are we? What phase are we on?
We are in phase 1 because the original set of post holders, their contract was not renewed at the end of the year, so we had to get new post holders. So to get those new post holders with the NCA approved, interviewed, and qualified, to make sure they're qualified, that takes you back to phase 1. But it doesn't mean that all the work you have done for phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 is irrelevant. But you go back to phase 1, and then once that has been, it's called a PASI, a pre-application statement of intent. So that's the intent with these new people, and then you move forward from there.
Does that help what you're here to do, putting the licensing together? And do you think it was it necessary, and what was it? Has it helped the licensing in any way?
Well, I'll answer that question. You see, in terms of was it necessary, it was not necessary a long time ago, but it was necessary at this time because of the negativity that was going out in social media, that Nigeria Air was a fake conjecture. However, it then raised more questions when it came in. because people said the airline has been launched. It was merely to unveil the logo on a real aircraft so that the media could take pictures of a real aircraft. But in terms of its bearing on the process of the license, no.
You see, Captain, perhaps you, who is the interim chair of that airline, have made it abundantly clear that the way you are making it here, I'm sure those controversies will not have gone. Maybe the controversy will be, yes, it's reasonable, it's necessary, but was it reasonably necessary? You know, you have to take this to take taxpayers' money and charter an aircraft all the way from Ethiopia to come here and for unveiling. It doesn't matter the size of the aircraft. You already have in your application for AOC the kind of equipment you want to, yeah. So even if it is a citation that is painted somewhere that gives the impression that this is how, with the unveiling of the this thing that you did in Fambro, that this is how it's going to look at. First, you will have made savings, and that money will have been plowed back to accelerate the issue of this AOC application after getting the ATL. So to be honest with you, it is necessary, politically necessary, but reasonably unnecessary to have used whatever amount. I'm not interested in the amount now. I'm not interested because I don't want to generate any other controversy. But as far as we are concerned, it was necessary, but it wasn't reasonably necessary to have done what was done. If the purpose is just to show Nigerians how the aircraft is going to. We have had the pictures on social media when it was unveiled in Fambro. But that created the impression for Nigerians that the aircrafts have started arriving. More so when either deliberately or for whatever reason, the minister made it abundantly clear that one has come and the remaining 4 are coming. Let me tell you, if he was there even today in the tea room, how they were virtually like insulting me, you know. Yeah. So, yes, they say, in fact, I was the one who went to collect the aircraft and bring. So you see, the controversies don't go into what is unnecessary. And that's why the whole country is, you know, is tense, saying that, look, in fact, some people, let me tell you, those who chose to use the mildest language decided to say that it was a 419. I'm telling you, I'm just telling you what the facts are. And you cannot claim not to know, because you know what's happening. For God's sake, we have taken the position, we know where we are now. We are on phase 1, and I'm sure all the manuals are in with the NCA. Phase 2, phase 3 is not going to be a big deal once we pass phase 1. Phase 4, we have the aircraft, hopefully. Phase 5 will be demonstration flight and all that, and then concluding part for the operation. Nigerians will equally be interested in knowing how long is it going to take, and then what what hope do we have that by this timeline it will start to work. That is what will bury all the controversy. You understand? Okay. That is what will bury all the controversy. He was there today in the tea room when another senator was accusing me that we said we are going to manufacture aircraft and that we brought aircraft and assembled. Were you not there? She was there. So you see, we too get worried. Allow us to drink some nice water and stay with our wives and be happy. You know, not reminding what people will be telling us. So controversies that are avoidable, why do you have to go into them? Why?
Well, I'll give you an example, sir. Yeah. When Volkswagen is going to launch a new model of car, they bring it out and they remove the cloth, they say take pictures, but you haven't seen the real aircraft, the real car yet. So it's just an unveiling. It's a harmless unveiling. I agree.
The consortium came when the minister said one has arrived and 4 others are arriving before something. You know, that was the controversy. You know?
Now, you have raised hope of Nigerians. I want to ask you this fundamental question. What is the estimated time that we will have Nigerian air on ground for me to fly to London or fly to America? Or to Akure. Or to locally. Or to Akure. To Akure, my home base. We are interested to know that.
Exactly.
He said Nigeria is rich. We have money. Why are we misapplying the money for us to be disgraced over the world? We are representatives for the people. We want to clear the air today that Nigeria here is yet to come. So that social media people keep quiet. This is the MD talking to the Senate Committee on Aviation to clear all misunderstandings, misconceptions. But a message will go back to them. When are we going to see this Nigerian air to fly? The processes, you have itemized it. I know President Ahmed Bola Tinubu will also be happy to ensure that during his reign, in the next 6 months, Nigeria air will fly. We are interested to know when will Nigerian air fly. Thank you.
Fleet on ground here, you know. Good concept for us to have a national carrier. There's no doubt about it that it's not a good thing in the Committee of Nations that we do not have a national carrier. But I must tell you that some of the issues and questions on the lips of Nigerians cannot be properly answered by those of you seated here. The man who will have been here is he has finished his service. Okay, so for me, I do not see any of you speaking from a point of authority. You know, you are just staff taking instructions. You know, so I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think I should just let you know that there are a lot of burden you are carrying that you need to come out clean out of it. You know, the concept is good that we have a national carrier, but the impression that you created by the show you did is being misinterpreted in so many ways, you know, and it's not good for a business outfit that is just coming up. You know, once people start doubting the integrity of a business or the integrity of an institution from the beginning, it's a problem. Okay, so I think you have a lot of work to do. You know, a lot has been said about the structure of ownership, the shareholders. You know, the way it has been structured. You know, and we are aware that some people have gone to court, and I think we must get to understand too. Nigerians are getting more civilized by the day. Their questions will be asked, and they will want you to provide answers and solutions to those issues. So good that we should have a national carrier, but of course Nigerians will equally want to see a national carrier that they are proud of, and they could see that is commencing on a very solid and clean slate. As it is today, you are not starting well. You have image problem from day one. I must let you know. Good concept, but image problem now. So you must go back to the drawing board and take a look at how you can take care of all these challenges and all these controversies that from the day one is already manifesting in the business. So for me, it's a good concept, but you have great challenges now of allowing Nigeria to be proud and happy. Because see, when you start operation, it takes one's interest to fly a particular airline. You know, when people have doubts about any business outfit, then you have a problem even getting it being acceptable to the people. You have a problem of selling it to people. Because when you came in, I thought that was the beginning of the show. You know, I was very happy. I was even asking the chairman. I said, "You'll have invited me to be part of this unveiling." I was not invited. You know, and as I was coming in today, I didn't know the detail, but I was asking Madam Chairman, I hope we know the schedule of how you're going to be operating. But I thought you are still at the airport here. I didn't know that what you did was we should come and see, you know. But being as that is me, I want to know that in Nigeria, this kind of strategy doesn't really work. Nigerians are not people who want to see cosmetics. Nigerians want to see solid things. They want to celebrate it, you know. So in marketing, strategies that you adopt in marketing a product in a particular society may not be applicable in other society. In fact, in some society, the color determines the patronage. You paint some item red, some people will not buy. When it's blue, some people rush for it. So you must first and foremost, you are not starting well because you should have taken time to study the Nigerian market, the Nigerian society itself, and get to understand, do we appreciate all these gimmicks? Nigeria, all these paparazzi, Nigeria don't. They want to see actions from the beginning, okay? But if that is not happening, you discourage an ab initio. From the beginning, you have already given doubt as to the integrity of the business you want to do, which is not good for you, it's not good for the airline. So for me, it's a good concept, but you need to go and wash clean.
That a drunkard is only interested in the contents of the bottle. Because we have never seen one that finished 10 bottles from the bar and brought the bottles back home.
Haram.
So it's only interested
Have you ever been drunk?
in the contents of the
Do
bottle.
you know what it's about?
Let me be honest with you, Captain. I have absolute confidence in your ability to put a nice, credible, sustainable national career for Nigeria. I have confidence in that. For you as a person. Absolute, so I have no doubt about that one. But for God's sake, let us tell ourselves the truth. The controversy generated by the procedure followed in putting this airline cannot be just, you know, with a wave of hand. So you need to work hard to see how you can reverse. I'm sure you can reverse all. With the level of writing I have seen. The most unfortunate thing is that even the participants in the industry, you understand? I'm sure you are in the senior pilots forum. You've seen what is being written about it. And like I have said, that my former observation that I told you about Justice Nikitobi, that's the Nigerian society. So let's take that into account and see what can be done to reverse this situation as quickly as possible. Happily enough, DG NCA is here. He knows that if you reverse back to phase one, all that is needed is to quickly see what you can do about the staff of the airline to establish their competence, their ratings, and everything, so that we can quickly move to the other phases and then put this one in place. For God's sake, DG, I hope you are hearing us, and then you will put some level of priority. We are not saying you should compromise the position, but that in order to address the anxiety of Nigerians, it is nice if you can put some extra time in doing your work to ensure that these phases are covered within in good time, so that all these things can be put behind us.
Yes. Was the court gated the order that the AON got?
We have not been vacated.
So why did we continue with the process when that court order was still subsisting?
The court order says that we should stop negotiation. We should date.
No negotiation is
continuing
being done,
with ET.
but you could unveil, flag off,
What
position,
from the legal advice?
flouting the court order.
You can do nothing about that process.
No, sir. With the legal advice,
Okay.
the court order is talking about continuing negotiation, which we are not doing. And it's yet, negotiation. That's what he said.
Can I have that in road copy? Let me see. You know, I have some.
Please, can you give it? Yes. So we have legal advisors. It's what they tell us that we do. But I can assure you, nobody is continuing negotiation.
You have not flouted the law in any
Nobody
way.
has flouted the law.
Okay. You also did not talk about, you did not address this issue about the business case and the share structure.
Okay.
And whether the shares were fully paid up.
To the best of my knowledge, we've moved from OVC outline business case to the draft, will I call it the final business case, which ICRC is handling. It has not been finalized yet. So they will be in a better position to answer that.
Yes. Are you also saying that the blocked funds will not be resolved until when we have a national carrier? Or what are you doing? What is your ministry doing to ensure that this is resolved as soon as possible? Is that affecting everyone?
Yes.
Even this economy?
The issue of block funds is not only from Federal Ministry of Aviation. What we normally do is we write to the CBN and present it to them, and we had actually worked out something in the past where it will be paid instrumentally. However, because of the situation on ground, I don't think that has been honored. I think last 2 months we also did write to them again, reminding them about it, and also we wrote to Mr. President towards the final days of the last administration in relation to that. We've been engaging with CBN to see how they can even start paying instrumentally.
What is the authorized share capital of this Nigeria? Authorized share capital?
$250 million.
PS, I am aware that you are also due to appear before the House of Representatives.
Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday. And I know that one will be a bit of fireworks, so it's good for us to be able to...
It's over. To take a global look at the issue of Nigeria Air, especially as it relates to Ethiopian Airlines and the relationship between Nigeria Air and our own operators who are likely to lose their market share and are likely to be run out of the market, and people who have taken loans to give us a better, to put Nigeria on the aviation map. There is a need to have a balance between the two and see that they are properly taken care of. I believe you can do this, as we know you are competent to do, and the time to do it is now. Give the AON a bit of comfort. Give Nigerians a bit of comfort. And please, if it is possible, address Nigeria on the issue of the unveiling. That it was not really an unveiling. It was just to show...
It was not a launching.
It was not a launching. It was an unveiling. It was not a launching.
Huh?
That no aircraft came. Nigeria Air is not ready. And we're just in the process of getting the license and all the processes correct. There is a need for Nigerians to know that, so that going forward, we won't be in this quagmire we are in the industry. The industry is such a regulated one that should not be seen in this controversy at all. Once again, this will be our last meeting with you. We appreciate your ability to work well with us, and we're saying until we go, we will keep interacting with you, and we wish you well. Thank you. Can someone move for
adjournment? No, but if I may talk,
okay.
Chair, is anyone here, because the Madam Chair has read the position of the committee, and if anyone feels that there is an aspect that touches on his,
that you want to explain.
that he wants to explain,
any of the heads.
Good.
Okay, sorry.
We give you opportunity to say so. In the absence of that, then we now have to take the closing remarks of chairman and maybe tell Captain. I don't know whether you have been privileged to read the literature.
What is this one about?
This is the enrollment order. I've read it. You are perfectly in order. There is difference between the Nigerian Air setup and then the agreement between Nigerian Air and Ethiopian Airline. And this order has not in any way been breached. I'm satisfied with what I have seen.
Thank you.
Very, very good about that. Captain.
So if there's any head of agency that needs to clarify one or two things, we will listen.
Sorry, thank you. Which is the Nigerian Air project. Is it a fluke? The answer is no. The second one is, are we following the right processes? The answer is yes. And that's what Captain Olumide tried to clarify. However, we have also the regulatory authority here. We can also speak to the fact that we have adhered, or we are trying to adhere to the processes. Until we finish the processes, we can't fly. So, Captain Musa, you can.
He cannot legally take that position because you are already following the process. If you meet the process, he's going to give you.
That's what I'm saying. Until we finish the process, he can talk by himself.
You know what I was about to say? When Shakespeare said, accuse me to that tongue that told me so. For it had come my better part of man, the jumbling friends I no more believe. They felt I was not in a double self. They keep the word of promise to our ears and yet break it to our home. This is
Distinguished, sir. Distinguished, sir.
Yes.
The point is that we are accused of not following due process. He's the regulator. He can tell us whether we are doing so or not.
Okay.
That's the essence of his being here.
Until he gives you the final certificate that his pupils have been duly followed.
Yes.
You are not to mark your own examination. You are a student. The man is the lecturer to mark the paper. Marking scheme is with him.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. When they finish the exam, I'll give them their pass back.
Is there any other head of agency, especially INCAT, that has been accused of bringing in an aircraft, dismantling it, and saying we are now manufacturing an aircraft?
My chairman, it gives me pleasure to highlight the facts. People have been saying manufacture. It's not manufacture, it's assembly. Assemblage is not a jet science. In fact, to assemble a car is more difficult than to assemble an airplane. So when the minister visited Hungary and saw the factory, he saw how easy it was to assemble a small airplane for training. He looked at NCAT as one of the biggest institutions in this area of West Africa. He decided to make it a hub whereby small airplanes like that one could be assembled and be sold to the region. So he decided to bring that idea. And the contract between NCAT and Mednos is to assemble 2 airplanes, and then once we later completely assemble. Because we wanted to launch and commission our projects in NCAT, we continue to push them to shift those parts so that we could start assembling. Instead, they flew in 1 airplane. They brought one and promised to bring the other one in a container. But the minister called them. We had a Zoom meeting at midnight because the CEO of Mednos was in China. So we tried to balance the time. Nigerians are about to go to sleep and China are about to wake up. So we had a meeting with them. They could not bring in or ship in those parts on time. So we decided to unveil, just like Nigeria, just unveil the mechanism with the view that you will start assembly as soon as the contract is completed. They have 1 year. The contract started in February, so we still have time. Right now they are working on creating the 1 part of the airplane and then the simulator to be here in a month or 2. And this aircraft that they already brought is either they sell it out or they ferry it back to their country. We do not disassemble to assemble. It is intact as it came in. So the project is still ongoing, not completed, and it is going very well. And so when we start, yes sir.
Have you seen one program when you were in secondary school? Mind your language.
I do.
Okay. So let us continue to mind our language. This is what created the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Assemble and
manufacture. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Nigerians are very happy with negative heights. Yeah. And you know, they put it all over the wall.
Again, let me thank you for coming. And let me say, the bane of all we have been through is the fact this committee has been a very benevolent committee. You never can tell what will happen in the next assembly. And that is the reason why you must ensure that there is no communication gap, that you carry the National Assembly along in all that you do, so that when people vilify you, the National Assembly can clarify all the gray areas. And so,
just like this opportunity, Very good opportunity for all of you. You've never had this opportunity before.
Captain Olumide, I'm sure we're just breaking you in. Yeah, welcome. This is just a mild one. You'll go in for the fireworks much later. And let me say we're grateful to you, Permanent Secretary, heads of MDAs, and let me especially thank call him at any time of the day. And also